This is chapter 2, and we're going to look at what all goes into your business plan. And as this chapter title states, that you can look at your business plan as a roadmap that guides the entrepreneur through the business from the concept to reality. And in today's fast-changing environment, the business plan is critical to entrepreneurs. And what it is it's a written document outlining the direction of where the business is going and how it is going to get there. And some things that the business plan addresses is whether the concept is feasible, if there's enough money to start and sustain the business through the startup phase, which is the first few years. It also addresses what makes the best use of time and money for the business, and whether the market is large enough for the business to be profitable, which is a big one that needs to be taken into consideration to make sure that you have a large enough consumer base to give you a profit. And the business plan also helps the entrepreneur formulate a strategy for success. And it's also used as a communication tool to funders and suppliers, and it may change when new trends and new information is found. So just because you develop your business plan doesn't mean that you won't revise it and make changes throughout the process and even at the end. And through the business plan, you will learn about the industry and the market that you're looking at. So looking at an overview of the business plan, the business plan defines the company, its goals, and its objectives. It also serves as a guide to help the entrepreneur stay focused on the direction of the company. It's really easy to lose focus and kind of go off on different tangents. And one thing about this business plan is it kind of keeps you there, and it also keeps you going back to what are my goals, what are my objectives, and staying within those goals and objectives. It also serves as a management tool for measuring whether the company is on target with its projections and goals. So as I just said, you'll go back and look at those over and over and make sure you're heading in the right direction. It also provides an opportunity to understand the financial considerations of the business. And, we always think about the whole creative side and the fun side, which would be your merchandise, store layout, all of those fun things. But a really big part of your business is the financial side of it, and you really have to have a good understanding of that, and that's one thing that the business plan makes you do. And last, the business plan encourages you to do research, so you'll learn more about the industry and your intended market throughout the business plan. And that's a really big thing, just to make sure that you have a big enough market that you can support, and that you have something that's different from your competitors. And then also it's looking at the industry and where the industry is heading. Is the part of retail you're looking into, is that a dying industry? Is it an upward swing? Really, how is the industry doing in the economy, which also tends to affect the industry. Some other things that the business plan does, it summarizes the information needed to make critical business decisions. So you'll be summarizing all the information that you find to help you make the decision of which way to go with your company and who to target and how to target them, where to put your store, all those different things. It also provides an opportunity to understand both the internal and external forces that can affect the business. So internal would be like your employees, your merchandise. External forces would be the economy, your consumer, your competitors. So there's all these different forces that can affect your business. The business plan also provides an opportunity to understand the competition and to position the company in relation to the competition. So you're really going to study your competition, learn about them, learn about their pricing, their merchandise, their customer, and what do you have that you can have that's something different from them, that makes you different from the competition and provide something that they don't. You also learn about your strengths and your weaknesses of the business and how to build on your strengths and how to overcome your weaknesses. And last, the business plan also helps you define a strategy for exiting the business when the time is right. And many times for exiting the business, this will be like if you want to sell the company and how best to go about that and then what time is the right time to sell, or if things don't go well in your startup phase, when is it time to get out? Come to a number of, when we're at this number financially, this is when it's time to exit. So the figure above, it shows the flow of the business plan that you'll do and what sections you will need to cover. And next we'll go through each section, and you can refer to page 31, box 2.3, and it gives you some tips for writing a good business plan. And you want to refer back to this once you begin writing the different sections of the business plan. And there's no one correct way to write a business plan. If you look online, there's a lot of different formats and ways to write a business plan. But for this class, we're going to use this specific order of content and this specific flow from one piece to the next. So the first thing that you'll have in your business plan will be a cover letter, and this will be part of what you'll do for this chapter's assignment. And your cover letter is a vehicle through which the entrepreneur's concept is introduced, and it states the reasons that the business plan is being presented. It also introduces the documents that are included in the package, and it needs to be precise and to the point. It's never more than one page. And if you want to see an example for you to follow, it's shown on page 302 of the text of your textbook, and that's in your appendices, and I think it's appendix D. And next is your cover page, and this will be the other part of your assignment for this week. And for the cover page, it identifies the document. It includes the name of the company, its address, contact information for the business, your contact person, and the date. And it's advisable to use a confidentiality statement. That's just because you're going to actually have some financials in there that you don't really want other people seeing. And so that's what that copyright 2011 is, all rights reserved at the bottom of this side. That's their confidentiality statement, and that's something that we'll want to add into our cover page. Next, you'll list your table of contents, and all it is a list of each section of the plan and the page number on which it first appears. And you can also find an example of that back in Appendix D. Next is your executive summary, and this will be a little bit longer. In this, the executive summary is your first opportunity that you have to grab your reader's attention. And the executive summary should provide an overview of the business and should include information on the business concept with an overview of the business, the management team, the critical success factors that must be met to reach the goals of the business. It also should include the overview of how the business will reach their market, overview of the market from a global perspective, and an examination of the finances. And it should also include the business's competitive advantage. And it needs to be written in a narrative form and grab the reader's attention and not be more than 2 pages. It can also be written before the rest of the business plan or at the end. So you can do it either way. So if you do it at the beginning, you will probably have to revise it at the end, or you can just wait and write it at the end of the business plan. So this is a really important part of your business plan because this is where you're really going to grab your reader's attention and get them to want to read the entire summary. And it's just kind of giving you the main important pieces that they're going to see throughout the business plan. Next is your management plan, and this is where you define the management team. This part of the plan establishes the credibility of your team that's running the business, and if anyone on the team lacks the credentials or experience needed, you must explain how these deficiencies will be overcome with outside help. Also, the diagram on the screen shows an example of an organizational matrix of the company and how they'll work with different people outside the business, such as a design office, a sales and marketing team, accounts department, and a buying, and then also looks at buyers and the clients. So the big thing with the management plan is you're just identifying and outlining the key roles, duties, and responsibilities, and they're also showing what pieces of your management is going to be done external or internal, or what external help you're going to have. If some of your management team is lacking in, say, buying, then you'll use a buying office to help you with your buying. Next is your merchandising and product plan. And this section describes the products and services that you're going to offer to your customers. It also looks at what merchandise is being delivered to them and any unique benefits or features or trademarks. And the merchandise and product plan describes the product, and you need to give percentages of sales within your products mix. So what percentage of sales does accessories take up? What percentage of sales does tops take up, bottoms take up? If you have any hard goods, what percentage of sales do those take up? This section also tells you anything unique to the product, such as their price, design, or quality, or any unique features of your store. It also lists the various suppliers and how the merchandise will be delivered under the proposed lines, and when merchandise is purchased and how vendors will be paid. It also addresses the proprietary aspects, which are any license or royalty agreements that may be obtained. And it can also be that you're the only retailer in the area to provide a certain line of clothing, or if you do, say, a licensing agreement and you carry licensed merchandise. An example of licensed merchandise would be anything that has the Texas Tech logo on it. Next, in this section, you also describe the assortment of the merchandise and how it's going to satisfy your customers' needs and meet your sales goals. You will also need to list any market trips that you plan for the year and the cost associated with attending them and how these trips benefit the business. And the last piece to the merchandise product plan is you need to outline the policies that will be implemented to mark up and mark down merchandise. So this is saying, how much do you plan to mark up your items? When you do your first markdown, how much will you mark them down, and when will that be? And then you can also have, your second and third markdowns, and when will those happen, and what percentages will they be? Next is the brick and mortar location plan, and this focuses on the physical location. And as we all know, your location plays a big part in your success. And the following items need to be developed for your brick and mortar location plan. So the first section in your brick and mortar location plan will tell the reader about the physical location in terms of the region of the country that it's in, the city, the state, the street address, and the hours of operation. Next, you need to explain the location features, such as the square footage of your location, the allocation of selling space, office space, storage, fitting rooms, all of that. You also need to talk about what parking is available and where it's at, and you also need to talk about where you're going to receive your merchandise from. Is it coming in the back? Is it coming in the front door? How are you receiving your merchandise? You also need to talk about target market considerations and look at the ease of your customers accessing your store by looking at the distance of the building from its parking facilities, highways, major streets, and interstates. And next, you want to look at what leasehold improvements will be necessary to make this store attractive and functional. These things are things that when you lease out a place, what the things they'll let you do. So it could be anything from painting. If it's just an open room, you're going to have to build in dressing rooms, an office, a cash wrap. So it really just kind of depends on where your location is, what all you have to do. Next is signage, and signage looks at how easy it is to locate the store by looking at the size of your sign, the location of your sign, and how easy it is to see your sign up close and from a distance. In certain shopping centers will have, their signs. You can have your sign over your shop, or it's going to be at the front. So just the specifics on where your sign is located and how easy it is to see your sign. Next is your web plan summary. And this looks at whether you offer an online store as well as a brick and mortar store and how you use the web to advertise. It also looks at the ease of use of the site for your customers. And in the web plan summary, you're going to look at internet strategies and describe the type of model that will be used. So some examples will be, are you using your website to provide information, to drive sales, or to serve as a way to purchase items? You could do just one of these or all three of those. Also in the web plan summary, you look at online marketing strategies and how you'll drive traffic to the website through online advertising, blogging. There's all different things that you can do. Next describes how the site will be developed and who will host the site and how customers will make purchases if you're going to let them make purchases online. Next, you will address the cost incurred in developing and maintaining your online site. And in this section, you also want to outline the timing and the shipping methods and how online transactions will work and how this site is secure for online purchases. So you're going to have to go through all those different aspects and explain how you're going to do that. And then last, you need to address any additional features that will be added in the future to attract customers to your site. So if there's any specific things you're going to add later, so say it is going to start at a website, but later you're going to offer where they can order merchandise online, that's something you address as additional features. Next is the marketing plan. And the marketing plan describes how you intend to get your customer to see your product and make your consumers buy. This section describes the target market and how you plan to penetrate the market. And you must convince the reader of the business plan that the market is large enough to be successful. And you also need to define and describe your promotional efforts that you plan to use. And the marketing plan should first provide the industry profile with the trends in the industry that may affect the business and address how consumers' buying behavior, technology, and online shopping will impact your success. Next, you need to look at market economic factors that look at the economic trends occurring in your specific geographic location. Next, you need to do market analysis summary, and this describes your primary target market demographics and psychographics and where the target market lives in location to the store. And in chapter 3, I believe, we will look more at the market and analyzing the industry. Next is the market needs section, and this will define any gaps or needs in the market that are not being fulfilled and how your business will fill those needs and gaps. So that's why we talk about you need to really pay attention to your competition and see what they're doing and figure out where they're not meeting consumer needs, and then you can come in and make sure you provide or fill that need. Next is the customer profile, and this describes the target customer in terms of their age, gender, profession, income, geographic location, and other demographics. It also includes their psychographics, which deals with attitudes, values, their belief system, and their social status. In the marketing plan, you also need to address the competition in the competitive analysis, and then looking at how your business will compete in the areas of quality, price, merchandise distribution, marketing, and location. And you'll actually do a competitive analysis in chapter 3. Next is the pricing strategy, and it is outlined next, and it covers the price points that will be used, the pricing policy, and the pricing strategies of your competitors. And also, this section will talk about the return policies, alterations if they're offered, and sales and merchandise. So specifically, when will you do sales and how they'll work. And then the last section will look at market penetration. And this looks at the brand strategy and how you will reach your potential customers through, say, social media, blogging, publicity, trade shows, and online marketing. The next section is the financial plan. And this is where you're going to communicate the amount of funding that you need to start and grow your business and how well the business is anticipated to do in relationship to other businesses within the same industry. You'll also need to analyze and review this section over and over. And this section will include a monthly cash flow statement, a profit and loss statement, and a balance sheet. And in this section, your numbers need to be as real as possible, and the way that you're going to do this is you're going to look at other retailers' numbers that are similar to you, and a way that you'll do that is looking at their annual reports. And so you need to provide financial projections for 3 years worth, and they need to be as real of numbers as possible, so you'll be able to actually get funding. And next is the retail operations plan. And this shows that the entrepreneur understands the importance of administrative policies, procedures, and controls. And it looks at the business from an operations and control point of view. It looks at how you receive orders, how you pay suppliers, how you develop your reporting to management. It also looks at your staffing levels, your inventory control. It looks at your how you handle returns and exchanges. It looks at your security system. And it also looks at the documents and paper flow in your planning chart of all the activities necessary to get your merchandise in the door and on the floor, and who will be responsible for each activity along with the completion dates of when these things will happen. And the last section of your business plan is the appendices. And this is where any documents that you need to support your business plan content are put. So some examples that you would have in your appendices would be personnel's resumes, employee contracts, personal financial statements of yourself to show that you can finance the business, supplier contracts, samples of advertising that you plan to do, your logos, letters of reference, location photographs of the location you plan to use, a map of the location, and then a diagram of your store layout. And this concludes Chapter 2.